Well, he's had a hell of a season, hasn't he, last year, with one thing and another. Things off the football field as well, things out of his control. You don't know what type of effect. I was quite surprised he was still...
And as far as chances go, it's strange because the season before last one we went up, our expectations were kind of playoffs at best. Let's see what we can do. And this time around, we're being touted as one of the favourites. So the whole mentality is different. I'm a little bit more cautious. I think probably 6th or thereabouts would be about realistic for us.
So you'd be happy with playoffs again. What do you want to see happen before the transfer window closes on Thursday?
Another right back to help out Pelte would be lovely, and another centre midfielder to accompany Bolts that's come in. I think we're still a little bit like if we lost Camarasa and Arta, who were big presences on and off the pitch too.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much. Enjoy this afternoon. Paul Grono there at Wigan, and on the Bluebirds' opening game of the season on FM and DAB in the southeast of Wales, here on Radio Wales at 3 o'clock. And don't forget, later at 5:30, Rob back with the phone-in call. Rob, it returns 03700 100 110 is the number you need later on. You can text 81012 or tweet us at BBC Radio Wales. Newport County fans, stay where you are, because your chairman, Gavin Foxall, waiting to talk to us at Rodney Parade. We'll be with him very shortly after we get the latest BBC Radio Wales traffic and travel with Liam Jones.
Thank you very much, Ian. The A55 eastbound in Flintshire currently firmly shut. That's down to a car fire, and the smoke is currently blowing across the road there at junction 21. So as you can imagine, causing pretty extensive queues on the approach to 31. Elsewhere then, it's queuing between 31 up towards 32 for Holywell. The A483 Wrexham bypass is slow between Abon up towards the Halton roundabout for the A5. Into Caerphilly, the 469 is shut. That's down to an accident, so it's slow on the approach away from Pwllhepant, the roundabout there towards the Llanbradach roundabout. M4 westbound, the usual towards 25A, just prior to the Bringlass tunnels. Worth noting on Transport for Wales trains, there's delays of up to 10 minutes between Gowerton and Llanelli. That's down to a signalling problem. And that's the latest from BBC Radio Wales Travel.
This is BBC Radio Wales Sport.
Yes, good afternoon to you. We are live from the Liberty Stadium in Swansea on the opening day of the season. We've got more to come on Swansea and Cardiff shortly. We're going to hear from Steve Cooper and Neil Warnock, the managers, before commentary of their opening games. Just going to talk now, though, about the two Welsh sides who missed out last season. Wrexham in a moment. First, Newport County, how do they respond to that heartbreak at Wembley, losing the League Two playoff final back in May? Well, Mike Flynn is still there, ready to go again. He's had a busy summer in terms of signings. So can they go one step further and win promotion this time round?
I think you've got some really big teams in there this year with the Plymouths, the Bradfords, Scunthorpes, Mansfield, that we got first game, are going to be there or thereabouts. So it's going to be a really, really tough season.
Completes, crosses into the middle, header, and it's Jennings and Tranmere have taken the lead with just 2 minutes to go in extra time to break Newport County hard.
We massively overachieved last season. Would I love to do better than last season? Of course I would, because it means we're in League One at the end of the season. But don't get carried away. I'm not one with my head up in the clouds. I'm a realist, and we've got to have another good campaign to even get close to what we did last season.
You said you think the division will be tougher. Is your job going to be tougher?
Yeah, I think it will, because you've got to manage the expectations of the fans. You've got to make sure the players don't get carried away and think they're better than what they are. Obviously I want to do well. I'm an ambitious manager and I want to move up the leagues. I wish we'd done it at Wembley with Newport, because that would have been a massive achievement for not just for the players but for myself as well. So it's one of them. I'm very cautious of where I want to go in my career and set myself goals and plans, but results help either make that route easier or a lot slower.
Mike Flynn, the Newport manager, they start against the side they beat in the playoff semi-finals, Mansfield, this afternoon. And we can talk to the county chairman, Gavin Foxall. Good afternoon to you, Gav.
Good afternoon, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. How's your summer been? Did it take you a while to get over Wembley?
I mean, just hearing that commentary back from Rob Black, brought it all back a little bit. Yeah, I've just been up in hospitality earlier on, and Blinny always comes up there before the game, and he was asked that question, and rightly so. His answer was, look, we just got to get on with it, and we're very resilient at Newport. It was awful at the time, and to lose in the way that we did, but we got some strong characters in this camp, and it was pleasing that we managed to keep the nucleus of the team all this season. And then obviously, as you say, he's been busy as well, and he's added to it. We've got some really good strength and depth, so we're really excited. We're looking forward to the season ahead. It'll be a tough against Mansfield, looking at their side there, and it'll be a great game and a great occasion for all.
You kept the nucleus of the team. You kept Mike Flynn himself as well, because there was a lot of speculation about him maybe going. Are you surprised? He's still with you?
Well, as Flynn has always said, he's an ambitious manager. We'd love him to meet that ambition with us and get to League One. But there's no doubt about it that if we do really, really well, we're going to have the same speculation around him as we've had previously, and we want to support him as the manager. That's our job as a board, and in supporting him, hopefully we're giving the resources that he needs, both in terms of the players and his backroom staff. We've done both of that, and as a result of that, hopefully that will help him remain at this club, and also help with the team on the pitch and achieve the results similar to what we did last season.
I mean, despite the way it ended at Wembley, it was a fantastic season, wasn't it? Getting into the playoffs in the way that you did right at the end, the FA Cup heroics as well. Gavin, I mean, Mike Flynn said you massively overachieved, so I just wonder what your targets are for this year. Are you aiming higher?
Well, we certainly did overachieve. There's no doubt about that. And I've listened to his interview previously in terms of what he has said in terms of managing expectation. I think he's absolutely right. I mean, we've got to be realistic about where we are as a football club and the budget that he's got. But the one thing about him is that he didn't have to get the right thing out of players. He showed that last year, and hopefully he can do the same this year as well. I mean, last season was absolutely fantastic. If you were a fan of the club last season, to get to the fifth round of the FA Cup, to get to the playoffs, the highest finish we've ever had, etc., it was wonderful for everybody connected to the club and indeed the city itself. And let's hope we can have more of that this season.
Well, we should say, Gavin, you've got a minute's silence before kick-off today in honour of Justin Edinburgh. I mean, terribly sad news in the summer, of course, the man who brought Newport back into the Football League.
Well, absolutely so, and that's why we're paying that minute's silence to Justin today. As you say, it was a tragic set of circumstances, and Justin will certainly live in the memories of this football club for many, many years to come. And in fact, I always say, you look at the way that Blinny acts and operates, and of course Blinny played under Justin, and you see a lot of similar traits within that, and the least we can do as a club today is to pay our respects in that way.
Good stuff. Excellent. Gavin, thanks very much. You sound like you're ready for it, and you're excited, and you're looking forward to enjoy the season.
Cheers.
Alongside Gavin there, Carl Roberts will be keeping us up to date with how they get on against Mansfield. The teams weren't in when we were with you earlier, Carl, but you've got them now.
I have, and I mentioned, didn't I, that Mike Flynn has brought in 11 new faces over the summer. 4 of them start today. One of them in goal, Tom King. He's the man to replace Joe Day, who has left to join Cardiff City, of course, on the bench for Cardiff City today. Joe Day. And Dan Butler, the influential left-back, he left in the summer. He's joined Peterborough. His replacement today will be Ryan Haynes, number 3 on his back. He looks like Ben Stokes, the cricketer. Can't miss him on a field with his flame hair. He'll start at left-back. Mickey Demetriou, Kyle Hawkins, another newcomer at centre-back. And then Danny McNamara, he's the 4th newcomer. He will start on the right. And then we have 6 very familiar faces to Newport County fans. Across the midfield, Josh Sheehan, Robbie Wilmot, and then in the centre, Matty Dolan and Joss Labadie. A real fillip for the home side to see Labadie starting. He's the captain. And then the top 2 up from 40 goals between them last season, Jamil Matt and Horik Amond. That's the 11 starting for Newport today.
Carl, thank you. Talking of Ben Stokes there, let's give you an update, shall we, on the Ashes. And England are now on 365 for 8 in the first test at Edgbaston. That's a lead of 81. So those 2 tail enders really holding on there. Wokes is on 31 and Stuart Broad on 29 at Edgbaston. We'll keep you up to date as that progresses throughout the afternoon, and more to come shortly on Cardiff City and Swansea City ahead of their opening games of the season. Commentary coming up on both. Just to say, also in League Two, a great start for Salford in their first ever season in the Football League. They beat Stevenage in the early kick-off a short while ago. Of course, they came up from the National League. Wrexham are stuck in non-league. They couldn't make it as far as a playoff final like Newport did. The playoff eliminator was as far as they got, so they failed to make it to the semi-final stage. That's despite finishing 4th last year in the National League. But the manager, Brian Hughes, well, he's hoping the signings he's made this summer will improve their chances of going up this season.
Brought players in that attacking third that can potentially hurt teams. And yeah, now it's about building that environment now that I want, where we're producing that winning mentality, that work ethic, that values that I want to bring to the club. And the players that are brought in are really buying into that. It's good that I've kept the nucleus of the squad from last season, because we went far off. You know, losing in the playoffs, we had a good season last season. We're building on what we've done in previous years, and now hopefully we want to try and take that one step further.
Oh, the shot! Oh, what a goal! Eastleigh have scored. They take the lead in stoppage time at the end of the first period of extra time. It is playoff heartbreak yet again for Wrexham.
It wasn't a nice way to lose the way we did, but listen, we've got to put that to the back of our minds now. It's all in hindsight now. It's all behind us. It's about looking forward now, and like I want my team to play on the front foot, I want everyone else to look forward to this upcoming season.
Well, Wrexham start the season at home to Barrow today, a mid-table team last year. Let's talk to the former Wrexham player, Wayne Phillips. Good afternoon, Wayne. Happy new season.
Good afternoon, Ian. I'm looking forward to it again.
I'm sure the sun is shining at the racecourse today, and optimism restored, renewed. How do you feel about it? Because, you know, a bit of an overhaul of the squad in the summer by Brian Hughes. He seems to have added more attacking options.
Well, he's highlighted the fact that Wrexham came short in the attacking third last season. Certainly not enough goals in the team. You know, there wasn't one player on double figures, the top scorer being on 6 goals, which is far from being enough to be successful. Defensively, they were the best defence in the league other than Leighton Orient, and as he said, he's kept the nucleus of the side. He's hoping now that the defensive record they had last season can be added with goals this season.
What do you think he will have learned from last season, Wayne? Because, you know, he's not had that much managerial experience. We shouldn't forget that.
No, he's fairly new to it, and he will have learned how difficult it is to manage any football club. And while things are going well, it's great. There was hiccups along the way. There was a run around Christmas time where they lost 5 games. I'm not sure if Brian was part of that, but that's what comes to managers, and they have to deal with that. And it makes him a better person, and he's got a good guy alongside him, Brian Flynn and Carl Darlington. It's a good management team, and I'm sure with the players that he brought in, without getting carried away, you know, we're talking about the first game of the season here. I've not had the chance to see any of these new players. I'm looking forward to this afternoon to seeing 3 of them who do start, but we know it's going to be a long road ahead of them, and it is going to be another tough season for Brian Hughes' men.
We'll get that team in just a second, but there's some big clubs in that league this year, aren't there? Notts County and Yeovil are in there, Torquay are back, Chesterfield, Hartlepool, Stockport. It tends to be the smaller clubs traditionally you have to look out for, isn't it? The Sully, Hull, Fylde, Harrogate and Eastleigh all made the playoffs last year.
Yes, you're absolutely right here, and there will be some of the southern clubs who are strong this season. Dover, Andy Hesselman's has gone in there. He will have a good job there. Bromley will be strong for the bigger teams, and Chesterfield will have learned their lesson from their third season in the league last season. A disappointing mid-table finish for them. I believe they're going to be one of the front runners this season, to go along with Fylde, who have strengthened well. Solihull have strengthened well. It's going to be as tough as the last 12 years have been for Wrexham. But I do firmly believe that Wrexham will be amongst the front runners. It's just how do they get over that line?
That's the question, but optimistic once again. Wayne, thanks very much for being with us. Let's just get that team news from Bryn Thomas, who's there today. Hi, Bryn.
Hi, Ian. Yeah, Brian Hughes keeps the same 11 that lost 1-0 here against Stoke last weekend, with 3 of the 8 summer signings, as Wayne was saying, making their league debuts. Devontae Redmond from Salford City, JJ Hooper from Bromley, and Mark Harris, the loanee from Cardiff City. And there's another 2, Michael Chambers and Leighton McIntosh on the bench. 2 familiar faces in the Barrow team, former Wrexham players John Rooney and Scott Quigley, starting for Ian Evatt's side.
And there'll be full commentary of Wrexham against Barrow online at the BBC Sport Wales website. You can listen on the app as well, so wherever you are, take us with us. Take us with you, is what I'm trying to say. And you can get full commentary on Wrexham today and every
League game this season. We mentioned Stockport just a moment ago. Not a good start for them. They lost at home to Maidenhead in the lunchtime kickoff as the National League got underway. So, Swansea and Cardiff are, just less than 15 minutes away from the start of the 2019-20 season here on BBC Radio Wales Sport. Their paths will cross again on October the 26th. That is the first scheduled South Wales derby of the season. I'm sure that date is down in the diaries of both sets of supporters. But Cardiff start the season away to Wigan, while here at the Liberty, Swansea take on Hull. So let's hear from the two managers. Neil Warnock starting his 40th and last season as a manager. Steve Cooper is very first at club level.
Listen, we're getting to the season and it's not about me, it's about the players and the supporters. But I'd be lying if I said that it's not something that I've been planning for a long time. But I've sort of smiled about that for about 5 seconds and then realised that I've got to focus and get motivated for the job, which is what I am.
Well, it would be a lovely way to finish, wouldn't it? It wouldn't get any better than that. But I'm also a realist and I know how difficult it's going to be.
You say it would be a good way to finish. Is this your last season?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The club is in a great state now. I think it would be appropriate. And likewise, they've got time to look at candidates, etc., and see who they would come up with. If things go right during the season, then I think that would be the time as well, you know. So I think we've just got to have a sensible cap on.
Still 1-0 to Swansea as James goes by the byline. And McBurney makes it 2-0. Towering header from Ollie McBurney. Their main goal getter gives them that breathing space that they need.
It's not drama. There's some really good players here. You know, they played some really good football last year, and you know, the reality is, should have won more games than what they actually did. So that's exciting for me. The fact that these boys are sort of 12 months older now and 12 months experience of playing week in, week out in the Championship as well. That, you know, we've got to really build on that. So nothing's changed. There's no surprises, but I think it's positive about everything that we're doing at the club. If we don't believe it, you know, then why should the fans believe it?
Good step over from Townsend. It's opened up for Townsend. Oh, that's a splendid goal. A splendid third. And that may well have condemned Cardiff to the Championship.
I think it's sensible that I try and take us into the season and do as well as I can. One thing at a time. Let's have a real go now. And first and foremost, we've got to make sure we're there or thereabouts. The last time we were there, we said if we could be up near the playoffs at Christmas, then we're quite happy, because I think we usually finish quite strong. You know, that's what we've got to do. We haven't got to get carried away. We aren't going to walk the league. We've got a decent side, and we've got to make sure we hang into the leaders.
We're very positive. You know, there's no reason why we cannot have a promotion push this year. That's not saying we're going to go and win the league and do what Norwich did last year and teams before, but it's saying that we believe in what we do, and we're going to back ourselves.
Follow the new season
on BBC Radio Wales.
Your team for Welsh sport.
Yes, one of the most experienced managers in the game and one of the least experienced managers. Steve Cooper setting out on club management this afternoon with Swansea against Hull. Neil Warnock going into his 40th year as a manager against Wigan away this afternoon. Full commentary coming up on both sets of players here at the Liberty. Back into the changing room now. The sprinklers are on. It's filling up nicely ahead of kick-off at 3 o'clock. Ian Walsh is our match summariser here at the Liberty. Kevin Ratcliffe is at Wigan for us this afternoon. So, gents, let's talk more then about Swansea and Cardiff and their hopes for the season. Ian, just to pick up on what you were saying at the top of the programme, you know, Steve Cooper says there's no reason why we can't have a promotion push this year. Trevor Birch says he's optimistic, although he says I might be naive a little bit in that. But you were saying you think it could go either way this year.
It could go either way. You know, again, it depends how Steve Cooper addresses the way he wants to play and the opposition determining how they'll play against Swansea City, because people have learned to play. If you looked last night at the Luton-Middlesbrough game, Luton Town played from the back. They tried to get as much possession as possible, but they've got a bit of potency up front, so they got the 3 goals. Middlesbrough are a dogged, determined side. They press you high up the field, and they scored 3 goals away from home. So there's promise there for both sides. Now Swansea, they might play the ball over the field, but unless you've got somebody to put the ball in the net, or a number of players to put the ball in the net, then you'll have pressure. But my only point is, I'm so uncertain about Steve Cooper coming in. I hope with all my heart
that he delivers and he surprises everybody. But I think football sometimes kicks you up the backside, and it's difficult.
What do you make of the signings that they have made? Of course, they've still got the transfer window closes next Thursday, so they hope to bring in, obviously a replacement for McBurney. But they brought in Jake Bidwell from QPR, Ben Woolman on loan from Watford, Pedersen from the Dutch club Heracles, Freddie Woodman on loan from Newcastle, who starts today. What do you make of that?
Well, a number of those players he's been with in the past at youth level and wherever he's been in the country. So he'll know one or two of those players. As the chairman said, it's loan players and free players. So hopefully they'll do well, but they're not going to set the world alight.
Okay, Kevin, can you be more optimistic about the Cardiff chances?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at Cardiff and I'm thinking the side that I can see it playing today is that side has played in the Championship for most of its career. I expect Cardiff to be up there and thereabouts. So speaking to Paul Cutt, the manager at Wigan, just before the game, he put his team in, and he was actually saying the only thing that concerns him about Cardiff is their strength. They could be outpowered today by us. They are a very, very physical side. They like to get the ball forward through Cardiff. And on the song, once they do take the lead, they do start knocking it about, they will be very physical. They play a direction of play that, is one way. They don't really start with a slow build-up. But look, Neil Warnock doesn't get carried away. He tries to keep everybody with their feet on the ground, and whatever happens. But I do expect them to be at least in the playoffs this season, if not automatic promotion. You always know he's a wily old character is Neil Warnock, and he always seems to get the best out of his players. So
what is the key signing, Kevin, do you think, that Cardiff have made this summer?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Flynn does, because he builds it on the defensive side of it. They've kept the lad Edbridge in goal, who I think is an excellent goalkeeper. They've got Morrison and Peltier and Bennett, and obviously with Namba being missing for a few months, then it's important that they get like an understanding Morrison and Flynn, and I can see that being, still very, very strong. You don't see any flashiness about them. You really see them. The fullbacks getting forward unless they need to. But looking at it, it's a strong side. But Bobby Reid, I think, is going to turn into a fantastic little player, and hopefully this year he shines.
Well, full commentary coming up very shortly now on Cardiff and Swansea. We're also on Wales Watch for you, just over a month away from Wales' next Euro qualifier. So people keen to play their way into Ryan Giggs' squad, or just play their way into form ahead of that match against Azerbaijan. Tom Lockyer making his championship debut for Charlton at Blackburn, while Johnny Williams also starts for the Addicts. Joe Allen and Sam Vokes both starting for Stoke against QPR, for whom Matt Smith is on the bench after joining on loan from Dutch side FC20. And as expected, Chris Gunter not in the Reading squad to face Sheffield Wednesday. Bit of uncertainty about his future. Meanwhile, in League One, after joining on loan in midweek, Ben Woodburn starts for Oxford at Sunderland. Just want to briefly ask you, Ian, about Ocean Roberts, because one of the big football stories of the week, and Kevin, your thoughts on this as well, maybe. Ocean Roberts leaving the Welsh FA and his post as technical director, and of course as assistant manager.
Well, when he didn't get the job when Giggsy got it, I thought that, yeah, he would be great, and he's done a fantastic job behind the scenes. But it's Oshan's time. He's been given the opportunity to go be number one, and sometimes you look back on your career, on your life, Ian, and sometimes you have to take that opportunity. And everybody wishes Oshan a fantastic success in his new position. He's been wonderful for Welsh football, not so, with the first team, but also behind the scenes with the football trust. Lots of people have high regard for him. So I just say, good luck, Oshan. Go and do your best.
Kevin, just give me your thoughts as well on the other really big football story that has dominated the headlines over the past few weeks, the whole Gareth Bale saga. Talked about that Euro qualifier coming up in just over a month. Wales need him to be on form, because he hasn't been recently, has he really? What do you think should happen? Should he stay at Real Madrid? What would you do if you were Gareth Bale? What would you tell him to do?
Well, Gareth Bale's quite rightly, I think I'm not on the favour of the club side here. I mean, they want rid of you, and they can't get rid of him. And mainly it's because he's not the same Gareth Bale that they bought. He's not a £70 million player. I don't even think with his past performances over the last 2 years, he's even a £30 million player. I think that he's actually lost his love of the game. And he just can't get his mojo back at the moment. You're at Real Madrid, you've got 3 years left, he's just sitting there, they can't get rid of him. They're in a bit of a pickle because they need the money to go out there and sign new signings. He's quite in his right to stay there. If the move don't suit him, but it suits the club, he still doesn't have to move. And everybody can have their feelings about it. I mean, John Toshak said about this week about, that he's never learnt the language Spanish. So, John, that's a bit hypocritical when you manage your country and you don't speak Welsh. The lads from Radio Cymru never heard one interview in Welsh from him. So I'll stick up for Gareth Bale a little bit on this. I'm not really a fan of the Real Madrid, and maybe it's a sign that players are getting the power and they can sit still if they want to. And the clubs really have got to be very careful when they're signing these players on big money, big wages over a long length of time. Then they could be stung in the end.
Kevin, we'll put the Bale situation to one side. I'm sure that story will develop over the coming weeks, and we'll keep you right up to date here on BBC Radio Wales. But the season is about to get underway. There was a huge round of applause just now for Steve Cooper as he came out before the teams did, and warm reception from the home fans here at the Liberty Stadium as he makes his debut as a club manager. The two sides are out, Swansea all in white, Hull City in their amber shirts and black shorts, and we're ready to go. Brilliant atmosphere here at the Liberty Stadium as the football season gets underway this weekend. And once again this year, Radio Wales Sport will have commentary of every single Swansea and Cardiff match. We'll be there right the way through over the next 9 months. So this afternoon on FM and DAB of the South East, it's the Bluebirds beginning at Wigan after their relegation from the Premier League. Regular updates of that one and all our other games, including Newport against Mansfield in League 2, will be on the rest of FM and DAB, medium wave and digital television during commentary of Swansea City against Hull, while Wrexham Barrow in the National League is available on BBC Sport Online. We'll keep you up to date with the cricket as well. Edgbaston, day 3 of the first Ashes Test. England 365 for 9 now, leading Australia by 81 runs. It's all coming up here on Radio Wales Sport, your team for Welsh Sport.
Live football on BBC Radio Wales Sport.
What a goal! That is absolutely outstanding!
Cardiff,
Strength,
Swansea,
determination,
Newport,
skill,
Wrexham,
class. It's absolutely extraordinary!
BBC Radio Wales Sport.
Your team for Welsh Sport.
Yes, welcome back to the Liberty Stadium. An air of vibrancy and excitement. And that fostered by Steve Cooper, the new head coach of Swansea City. And today he'll be facing a man new in the dugout on the other side as well, Grant McCann, the new head coach of Hull City. It's a sign of the times. They're not managers anymore, they're head coaches. The Hull City side are in their little huddle. They now break. Swansea ready to kick.
Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC. This station is unavailable. Due to contractual reasons.
quite a long way out, but he had a clear sight of it, a clear shot at goal, and he ballooned it well over. Something of an early reprieve there at Oakwell for the home team. It's Barnsley 0, Fulham 0.
That's his sighter, Alan. That's his sighter. He won't miss many.